Howdy, howdy, it's the morning howdy, morning howdy.
Hello guys, and welcome to the Morning Howdy. I'm here with Mario. How's it going, bro?
Pretty good. Howdy.
Howdy. Like every morning. Howdy. So tell me, man, how long have you been working on music for now?
Man, it basically started when I got my first MacBook Pro.
MacBook Pro.
MacBook Pro 2013. I basically got it because I wanted to make beats, and like just dabble with creative stuff, editing photos or like uploading videos on a GoPro. But yeah,
So what was the software on the MacBook Pro?
man, it started out with Logic.
Logic?
Yeah, and I still
Is that
use
like
Logic.
music? Like
It's just like Apple's default music digital area workstation or whatever. It's just the environment that it's Apple's default program, just kind of like, for example, Fruity Loops or Ableton. It's the same thing.
It's just like them. Yeah, I've seen Ableton and Fruity Loops.
Yeah. Logic is Apple's like standard, and
Is it as good?
I mean, they're all the same. They all have their own tools and uses. Maybe even advantages, disadvantages. And you'll find like within like a producer community, there's a lot of debate over like which DAW's the best, and there's tons of memes and opinions over them. But really, it just kind of matters. It's all up to the user and whoever is behind the computer, because only you can conceptualize what the beat in your head is.
For sure. So how long ago was that when you started? Like
I was like 2013.
13, so like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy. I was like, I've been more into music now, like the last like 3 years. I would say I wasn't really big into it in high school. I mean, I liked all the famous songs and stuff.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like into actual like classical music and the actual you get detail in it. And you kind of when you learn more about something, you appreciate it more. And so I didn't really get to do that until more like recently in the time.
For sure. It kind of develops sometimes, like as you get into like the rabbit hole, you start to actually want to find more music according to your taste, as opposed to just kind of, because music serves a purpose. It kind of strikes you emotionally, or like, it gives you that boost or that motivation, and sometimes that's all we really need it for. But if you really want to get into like subgenres and shit like that, and just not want to like just listen to stuff on the radio, but you want to find stuff that's really according to your taste, yeah, it'll get like that, like when you get into music.
So what is your taste?
I mean, I try to be at whatever it is, like I like kind of house music, hip hop, because it's chill, the relaxed vibe. But then again, like I like more kind of like aggressive music, like hard rock or metal, even for like working out, and just kind of like when you like feel angry, and every genre or taste of music has its own purpose.
You get a screamo in your ear and you're just screaming too and just pushing away. Yeah, that's definitely the pump for sure.
That's the shit that gets you going right there.
Definitely.
But like, yeah, man, even country, being from Texas, obviously, country music has that relaxed kind of like, whenever I listen to country or even like Mexican music, I just want to drink. So it puts me in a mood, just kind of relax and drink and like be social. That type of music, it all has different emotions and ways of striking you and agreeing with you.
For sure. So what softwares are you using now?
Logic Pro and Machine. That's basically it.
Is Machine like a house music one?
Machine is like a beat pad.
It's a beat pad. Okay, knowledge learned.
It's a 4x4 row of pads, so 16 pads all together, and you just load up whatever, whether it be a sample, a melody, a synth, and drums, and you can play them simultaneously, or you can switch between groups and laying down.
You just make your beat, like you just pick the sounds and then from there. Like it's like kind of like fast, you know.
It's supposed
like,
to be.
It's like in the moment, you're not like putting it in
Yeah.
the computer. You're doing it yourself and you're recording it.
They market it as intuitive. So yeah, it's supposed to be so that you can be hands on. You don't have to be like on your mouse or on your
Yeah.
computer all the time. You
You
can
get
do
more
it.
of a realistic like tone to it, like a rhythm, versus when it's on the computer. Because I've done it on the computer and it's like sometimes too perfect. You know, like
Yeah.
when it kind of has like a little chop to it, a little like little offness. It sometimes makes it just right.
Yeah.
And sometimes.
It depends how you're gonna dial in or punch in your beat. Some people can they can sequence it, which is where they just click in where the hits are, where they click in where the kick comes in, where the snare comes in, and other people can just play it on a pad where they literally just play it by hand according to rhythm. And there's different ways, man, and sometimes sequencing is just as it might not seem as exciting to click in a beat, but there's some producers out there that can click in a more badass beat than I could ever tap out. Like it's all about using the tools that you have and making the most out of them, And that's what good producers do. They don't, they find a way. They read or they watch tutorial videos. They seek out other producers and they try to learn how to expand their game. That's what good producers do. Is they try to be as versatile as possible and not keep making like the same type beats, which is cool if you make like a single type beat, but like you're either a beat maker or a producer, and
Can it be both?
I mean, you can be both. It's just from a beat maker standpoint. And when I say beat maker, like literally not actually playing music by key, but you're playing it by ear because you're sampling something. A producer, I would say, is more of someone who can actually arrange, play keys, chords, make progressions, and all that stuff. Like actually, literally, like write their own music, as opposed to beat makers just taking a sample and flipping it, which is how like your typical hip hop beat will be made. Will be from an old sample, a record from some either like the 60s, 70s, 80s, or whenever era. Sometimes you can sample new shit too, and remix it. But that would be like the divergence between playing it by ear or actually playing it with like a knowledge of like musical theory. So I've gotten by just by basically beat making,
And that's the best way. Like some people get caught up in YouTube videos and they get lost in what they're doing, and like I always see when people like just go on it and just play with it, just try out all the possibilities and just find your tone and not looking at all the instructional videos and just getting at it and going for it. I mean, it kind of makes it easier to learn.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Because you're actually doing something. You're not looking at a video. You're actually on the software. If you make the mistakes, like you go in there, you don't want to make a mistake. No, you make the mistakes. You learn from the mistakes. It doesn't sound good, then how are you gonna fix it? You're gonna go look at another YouTube video? No, just play with it, and you might learn something while doing it. You might learn more than one thing. And it's like if you can't find the right beat, like sometimes you just wanna just start working on something else, and maybe from the since you decided to try something else, a different tone, like that was like fit perfectly what you were doing because you were just on track but went off track, and like from that, you can find like, I guess you could say not find but learn the music a lot better.
Yeah, man, it's always easier to learn when you're having fun, because when you're having fun, you're not thinking about it. It's not a task. And that's the thing. Do not, sometimes, you come in really hot, just making, especially artistically, you're not really bound by rules. And sometimes we get, as we progress or whatever, and we go on, and we kind of start letting restrictions take a hold of us, and we say, oh man, nobody does that, nobody would like that. But then when it's really the stuff that kind of hasn't been, territory that people haven't been brave enough to go into, is when you can usually find like a breakthrough of your own, is when you're willing to break rules and not do stuff by the book. And a lot of that is just having fun, because when you have fun, you get lost in the moment. You're not thinking about constraints that your mind has put up. And I would say like whether you're beat making or you're drawing or just anything artistic, it tends to be a more like of a solo experience. It can be kind of lonely, and it's always good to have like a second, third, or fourth thought. Um, if you can collaborate with people, not even necessarily on the same piece of art, but just artistically, whether you have people that inspire you with visual art, photographic, audio, just whatever it may be. It's always good to keep an open mind and not really get burrowed in the rabbit hole because, you tend to do that when you really try to get, like, you want to perfect your craft, but you, you're not like, open about it. Like, artists tend to really just kind of shut the door.
So how bad can the rabbit hole be? Because like I know you can get lost. Like there's a concept that if you dig a hole too deep, you can't get out of. And like, I don't know if you can really concept that to the music, but I think I can find a way or two. That's what I'm asking you. Like how bad can the rabbit hole be, or how good can it be?
I guess it just kind of comes down to not getting hung up on things and to just keep it moving. And if you can't figure out something, don't hammer away at it and get like frustrated or stressed out about it, but to just keep it moving and come back to things that that you're trying to process out, figure out.
You know what they say: if you're in the rabbit hole, you keep going around the same track, you gotta dig another hole.
Yeah.
Keep going in circles, man. You gotta.
Don't be afraid to start
You
another
gotta
hole.
go outside the box.
You can always go back to that old hole later.
Yeah, for sure. So, is the game getting better?
I don't know what you mean by the game.
The game.
The game.
Game.
I guess like the game would be referring to just beat making in general, or
yeah, because it seems to me that beat making is being more accessible. It could be on your phone. There's like a lot more equipment there's more stores nearby. You can find stuff at Walmart for Best Buy. Like you can find stuff anywhere to make beats. Like software's on your computer and like how you said, you have the pad and it's mechanical. But some people are just on the computer. They download a software and they just try to get everything perfect and just take their time and then make beats and then just also like just take samples, and just use someone else's beat and then.
I think the game is always getting better just because by default there's always new music today or more music today than there was yesterday, and there's going to be more music tomorrow than there was today. Like, so you're always going to be able to find what you want to hear, I feel.
Nowadays, for sure.
For sure, like, especially with, like, I guess now, like, streaming services like Spotify.
Okay, so if it's not the better music, is it then always the new music? Or is it music itself is just going to get better? Because, like, there's all the possibilities are already getting shot at right now. Everyone wants to have that new sound. Everyone's working on a beat. Everyone's expressing themselves.
Yeah.
So that's, like, right there, a lot of possible. Because when you go work on the software, all you can think about is a billion possibilities that go in your head, like how I'm gonna make this music. It's like a game of chess. You stick to the basics, but then you play your parts. Like that's what wins you the game, or I guess makes the best of your art. But
the game is always. I feel like. Because making beats and getting into musical stuff has been more accessible today. It's not really so much of a mystery or whatever, kind of like how it was when I first started making beats. Like, I feel like, especially with like DJing, people have taken to more like music production software. It's become more kind of accessible, which is good because you have more people that are able to make beats on less resources, and people are able to be more efficient. You can make what you want if you know.
And we're actually so new. We're so new in the game. We're only in the first generation of this style.
Yeah.
Like if we think really hard, the rap, the beats, it's all been one generation. This isn't our children's kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't go that far back.
It doesn't, man. It's only like when did hip hop music start appearing? Like the early 80s. And it hasn't even been like a half, century since hip hop's really been out, and so it just keeps evolving. It keeps getting weirder sometimes. We got some weird stuff, not really. Even though it's barely been a generation, you would already have a huge generational gaps in terms of old school to new school rappers. It seems like rap has gotten a lot more blingy, a lot more clubby. Not really as much kind of like street, kind of grime, or then again that kind of comes in. What's the difference between rap and hip hop? And that would be kind of, you know, I guess people would say that
People's tones, just the different style, the slower, is it a faster beat? Like some people just play faster, they like fast. Some people like a slow, more chill vibe, and that's just how it is. And like when they go in the clubs, they just play whatever everyone likes. That's just what they do. That's what they're always gonna do. Cause you know if a real old school DJ comes in, he's gonna be playing the good stuff, and no one's gonna know the songs, and everyone's gonna be like, "Yo," right? But
Man, that's how it is, man. Everyone loves Screw in Houston, you know, and you can always bring, you know, like But the thing is, like, especially like at the clubs, people are consuming alcohol. Everyone wants to get hyped, and DJ Screws it's really not that many. He's got some hype joints, but typically on the regular, they're more slow, like low and slow.
so
but-
like, oh wait, I'm sorry. Just like imagine if we were like in Egypt time, and we're just playing some hard trap like rap music, and we're just fucking like doing this cool little dance in front of everybody, and everyone's just like looking at us like, what the hell would they think, you know? Especially like where would they be hearing their music from? That would be the biggest like thing. Is just we playing off our phones, and they'll just be like, whoa.
Yeah, man.
Like
Yeah.
imagine like your eyes like. You want some more coffee?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, mine got cold. This thermal thing, bro, it keeps it piping hot. I don't even know how it does it.
Actually, I need to get a thermos of my own.
People are saying this is like the Yeti, but I was like, it's not a Yeti, but I don't know if it's the same one, like the same material.
Shit.
So, you have a SoundCloud or anything right now?
Yeah.
You got some beats
Yeah.
posted?
I got some beats posted on SoundCloud, which is a good platform. You know, SoundCloud used to be kind of like totally free with no ads, but
You know, they gotta make the money off it.
they got to make the money, right? And we're not just gonna give them money, you know.
We're gonna slide right through, you know, try to get through the ads.
But like, Bandcamp is a good outlet if you want to put out music.
Do you have that as well?
No, I don't. Because honestly, I haven't even really put together an album. I just kind of
Do you put out all your work on the SoundCloud or just the ones you like?
just the ones that I like. Like I got, you know, I got a lot of beats. Like,
Are you gonna put in the link?
I'll put it in the link.
Okay, he's gonna put in the link,
It's gonna be in the link.
and you're gonna be like, damn. They're gonna be like, this is Mario.
This shit terrible.
No, I mean everyone's got their own opinion, you know.
Yeah. No,
So-
for sure.
People don't like certain things, or some people only like a certain person. I find that weird sometimes. They only like a certain artist. They're just like, oh, I love Justin Bieber, right? Just him. It's not the music. They just love the person. I find
Yeah.
that a lot with a lot of rappers and stuff. They just like the person so much rather than the actual music, and they just like get so hyped. I was like, oh, it's him. That's a weird thing I've seen, because I see some people, they're so into the music, but I don't see them as really music heads. They just like kind of just go with the flock when it comes to the music, and I always find that a little weird, because it feels like people are just like mind controlled, brainwashed, all that shit. I swear, like people be hearing too much on the radio like so often, like it just subconsciously goes in their mind, like they just think that's like the best.
I think when you say subconsciously right there, that's pretty much what it is, because, you know, people don't want to have to think too hard about it. They want to
Just go stupid.
it's more whatever is more agreeable, you know, and you know it is kind of part of going stupid, because when you and everyone else are doing the same thing, you're not really thinking twice about it. You're like, okay, this is normal, this is fine. You know, but the thing is, you know, the mainstream music, it is supposed to, it's made to be catchy, you know.
Yeah.
Like
They're supposed to have the catch.
it's kind of like the non-stop clapping music.
That's like the part of the music theory you're talking about. I was reading a book, like the books for dummies, on like music, and like I was just reading. They like literally quoted what you said about, yeah, exactly what you just quoted. So
You know, it's all catchy. It's got
You get the catch.
easy melodies. It's got like really basic, simple lyrics that are easy to remember and follow, and you know, especially when you go to a club, it's always funny, you know, when you're not quite all that throwed sometimes at the club, but everyone else is, and you're like watching how like everyone, you know, is like in this like great camaraderie, singing to like the same crappy music, and it's
okay. Have you ever been the fucked up one at the club? Where where everyone's looking at you like, damn, that dude's got lit.
Man, dude, I like to say that I drink, but I don't get drunk.
Okay, so
Okay.
you
But-
once or twice.
I mean, I've been throwed. Yeah,
So you've been that guy
I probably have,
once or twice.
but I can't remember any specific.
So it's like you go to the club, and like I always just see someone like already throwing up, and I just walk in. I'm just like, God damn, like I just got in this bitch, and they have to clean up this throw up. Like you find those in like the really crowded clubs. You know, not like bars. You won't find that at bars. When you go to clubs, it can get ratchet. It can. It's possible. You never know what crowd's coming in. I live in Houston. You know that's a lot of people. You never know who's gonna walk through the doors the same time you're walking through the doors. You don't know what someone's birthday, and they've been drinking tequila all day, and I walk in and I'm just like, oh shit, you know.
Oh, man, on the real, you won't find me at no motherfucking club. Shit, at least not lately. Man, I try to avoid the clubs like the plague, man. Like, it's cool, you know. The ladies is out and they's all looking really nice.
Yeah.
All the ladies looking nice.
All the
at
ladies.
clubs, but you know, it's a bit hectic. It's a bit, you know. Sometimes it's a lot more trouble than what it's worth, especially now as a man in a relationship.
Man.
You know what I'm talking about? But the club, dude, for all the young dudes out there that's trying to, you know.
Stun. Look good, get some women.
Trying to, yeah, you know. I mean, it's
Get
out
money.
there. The game is fair. You know, it's, whether you got bling money or just game, you know.
We all got a chance.
We all got a chance, you know.
All the potato heads out there, you can do it.
Shit, man. You know, so you're not really thinking about the music at the club in that case. You just want to see what gets shorty hopping.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really care if the beat's all that good.
You just care when she's dancing. That's it.
You care more about exactly what moves your girl, even if it's the shit that don't necessarily move you. You at the club, you want to see the babies back.
So would you want to be a DJ, or have you done any like events for anybody, or attempted to?
I haven't. But I do. I don't know. I think if it was like a birthday, you know, I would probably do my homie's birthday because then at least I know what he likes.
So is it something you've thought about or haven't thought about?
Not really. I haven't really thought about it. You know, I've been asked for like DJ stuff because people know that like I dabble in music, but I'm just, you know, DJing is a whole, you know, it's a thing by itself. You know, all you have to do is just choose music to play.
I mean, but some people, you know, some DJs they ain't gonna mess around. They're gonna put that work in. They're gonna be like, hey. When people listen to their music, they're gonna look at me when they look at the station, like who's playing that music.
Yeah.
You know when it's a DJ, no, everyone always looks. I mean, when you're at the club or at an event, people always look at the DJ, and everyone's always judging the DJ by the music. I swear.
Yeah.
Everyone's judgmental, and they're either like, all right, this is fine, but every time there's a new song, they always think about it. They always judge it. They're always thinking about, oh, I know the song or I don't, because it's being heard. It has to be heard. There's no not hearing something being played. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can not hear that, you know, that's not really helping.
I guess like it depends. Like if you're at a club as opposed to like a bar, you know, your job as a DJ is to get people moving or on the dance floor, because the more you're moving, the more you're probably drinking, you're rehydrating, and you keep needing to drink and just having a good time and shit like that. So like, yeah, man. I mean, that's their only job, man. So it doesn't even matter if they're playing shit music. If there's people dancing, it doesn't really even matter, man. You know?
So is that something you want to do, or like you said, you haven't thought about it, or?
I mean, not in particular, but
so if someone saw this video, was like, man, went to your SoundCloud, which y'all should check out. They want you to do something for them, you wouldn't?
I would. I mean, why not? Because I don't really think it would be that hard, you know. But then again, you know, do I know my crowd? You know, you gotta know your crowd. You gotta know like who you're gonna DJ for. You know.
Yeah.
Cause I can play oldies for a bunch of old people at bingo. You know.
I started at bingo and now I'm here.
Or then you'd be like at the top club here in Houston. But
I mean, do you have any plan, or is this like just your passion? Is this just something that you just like working on the side, or?
it's just something I like working on the side.
Okay.
You know, I'm a bit kind of like, um, you know, like some artists just don't have like they have like a hard time putting themselves out there just because, you know, you are afraid of judgment, you know, so I don't really be like going to family Thanksgiving dinners and be talking about like my music.
Yeah, so you kind of are like afraid what people would think about your music?
I think I kind of focus more on like the organic following that I get online, and not really like trying to. I don't really spend a lot of energy or time trying to put people here on my music because that I know will hear my music at least once and they'll decide then and there whether it's for themselves. You know, I'm not gonna keep hitting them up about like, hey, did you hear my music? Did you hear my music or whatever? So like,
I mean, but you make something that you find so nice, or like, what, don't you want to share it? Like, have it like be heard?
I do, but I put it online and then I get like plays or I get comments or like.
But that only goes so far. I mean, it's usually people hear about it, or it's like word
I
of
mean,
mouth.
what do you mean it? How do you can't really say that it only goes so far because it's the internet, bro. The internet is like almost infinity.
True.
You know, that's just how I see it. I try to focus on an organic kind of following.
But I would want someone to want to hear you because I've heard the beats you've made. I know the commitment you put in, and like people would like it. People would vibe to it. People are not gonna. It's not like a waste of your time type of music, you know. And like you should be able to share. Like it's just like sharing wisdom. You should be able to share the art. It's like when people built the pyramids, they wanted everyone to see how nice it was. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be like super white and shiny. Like they had some crazy layer on it. It wasn't just stone. It like had a color to it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was crazy, and like they made it just look so magnificent and like crazy. Like that's what they want to do. They want to share the art. Whenever they built the tunes, they wanted people to see. You know, they didn't dig underground. It's like when you make music, it's like, you know, it's like yeah, you do it for yourself, but you should try to give people your sense, your tone. Like everyone's vibing on the same frequency.
Yeah.
We're all moving through, you know, Earth, doing the things, and we all appreciate music, and like everyone should be appreciating each other. Like I do this channel, I'm hoping I can spread wisdom, help people out, do whatever I can, and get myself out there a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you know, I would want you to get people to hear your music, so they can vibe to it, and then when they hit the gym, they're like, damn, I got the pump. You know?
Yeah. Nah, for sure, man. You know, music for me is intimate.
Yeah, he's got love music for the ladies. he gets you doing
it's
the work.
an intimate affair, man. You know, so only in like maybe the most casual and relaxing settings will I be comfortable with like mentioning, hey, I make beats, or you know, I make music, or whatever it may be.
Do you think it just like is awkward just saying that? It's just like,
I mean, the thing is like, if I'm being totally honest, I don't feel like totally like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just beat making, you know what I mean? Like, I would be more impressed with myself if I actually had like music theory and like knew how to put chords down and stuff like that. I really just consider myself a laptop artist. Right now, bless you.
oh,
By laptop artist, I just mean like you just make art off your laptop with no other resources.
Yeah,
you know?
but
it's just you and the
but with
internet.
the laptop, you get all the sounds. You don't. We have that available to us where we can get the perfect. We don't have to spend $100,000 on the perfect piano. We can do that. We can do that already on the computer. Why would we not use the computer?
And that's the beauty of it, you know, is that like you have everything at your fingertips.
And like say like you can't play the piano because your fingers aren't like the best, or like you can't play the guitar because you know it takes a long time to practice guitar. But you can, when you have the resources, you can put the music you want without having to go through all those hardships. So you can it makes it even better because now you're less stressed. And then not everyone's a beat maker. Not everyone does beats. A lot of people give up. A lot of people go in the rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? I attempted on the beats. But I ended up using it to make the intro to this the channel. So the knowledge, I kept the knowledge. It was good. I used it for a good source because now if I need to do some editing or something, I'll know how to do it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not doing it every day like how I planned on it. You know what I'm saying? But like you're working all the time. You're actually putting in those hours. When you put in those hours, man, that's when. That's when.
You make games.
The novice to the master.
Yeah. Yeah.
Master Mario on the beat, Eminem.
That is for sure. It's always important to put time into your craft, and you know, I don't really work on beats daily like I did once. But you know, the knowledge and the as long as like the desire to actually create something new, or you know, just if you have like a beat in your head or whatever, and or like I'm at work and I'm coming home and like I have a beat in my head, like the first thing I'll do is try to recreate that beat, and you know, sometimes it translates and sometimes it doesn't, you know, because you know, you're only limited by. I'm trying to think of some inspiration.
Don't you hate when you lose the beat you're looking for? Like you had it in your head.
Yeah.
Have you ever slept on something and you heard the most perfect sound in your head, and you're like, and you wake up and you can't remember? You can't.
Oh yeah, all the time, man.
I swear, there's 2 instances where I knew my subconscious was smarter than I was. I heard a beat and it was like the most perfect beat I've ever listened to. You know, I made it in my head with all, you know, subconsciously, all the sounds I've ever heard. It just somehow made a crazy beat. I couldn't implement it on the computer. And another time I was speaking fluent, like some Asian language fluently in my head. And I understood what I was saying and I knew it was right. There's 2 instances where I just knew. I was like, damn, I think I'm pretty smart. But I'm dumb as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Man, you're crazy, man.
But like, no, you say you have those beats, so you know what I'm talking about for the most part. Like, whenever you just like meditate and you just try to get that silence, in the morning is the best time for that.
Right.
Wake up early,
Yeah,
you can
put
meditate.
your ass up. Morning, Howdy.
You know what I'm saying? I find a lot of inspiration in the morning. How about you?
I feel like the morning is the best time to be up, man, because you know you already got a head start than most people that are just sleeping in. So that in and of itself is inspirational because you can start earlier, you can get more stuff done before the sun goes down. So inherently, the morning is the most inspirational and optimistic time of the day. You know, I know it can be hard to pull yourselves out of bed sometimes, especially if you have. But man, morning is just so beautiful, man. I love it.
Yeah.
It's you know, you hated it as a kid because we always had to get up early.
It's because we had to go to school. We had to
go to school,
We had to go inside for a whole day. We missed a whole day, locked up.
I know, man.
23 and 1.
It was sun. I remember like my bus came so early, like the sun hadn't even come up yet before I got on the bus. Man, it would be pitch black riding to school.
Yeah, bus
In
goes
the
to my
morning.
neighborhood like that every morning.
So I mean, it almost used to be like a punishment, but I mean, you know, especially if you got whatever it may be, you know.
So who are your all-time classics? Like, do you know a lot about music history?
No, not really. Music history, I guess, if you want to talk about like old school rap beef, that's music history to me.
I mean, yeah,
You know,
rap beat.
But then, yeah, man. I mean,
I wonder what the first person who decided to clap and was just like, whoo.
man, that sounds pretty dope. Hey, yo, check this out.
I think it started with the chest pump first, since we're like from monkeys and stuff,
Oh man.
or we're most resemble to them at least.
I think for sure though, when you talk about like musical instruments, like on the fly, growing up would have to be like the pen or the pencil or you know whatever, so you could tap a beat. Remember, people would tap out beats all the time at like lunch at Klein or.
Oh, that was so obnoxious.
You didn't like
Because
that?
it's the tap. It was always the tap. There's no other sound with the tap. You always get the same.
Oh, you could only.
But you can adjust it. But it's you get this eight different sounds. And
Yeah.
It's not like any good sounds either. It's like wood. So like I would say the first type of music would become from the first music came from the lungs. It came from the mouth.
Right.
you know, people, I don't know if they were singing first or making tones with their voices, maybe making a hum or a whistle that sounded nice, and then the next thing you know, like they're beating stuff, like a drum, they find a good rhythm, they're like, whoo, whoo. You know what I'm saying? And like, how did someone make the guitar? That's what I find interesting. Like, someone made a guitar, and like way back early in the time, like they had a flute. You know, what would you say is one of the first ones? Because I know it wasn't string. I think it was like a flute or something. It was like the next step.
Probably like a ukulele or something.
No, because how could they get strings? Like, I could just imagine them like blowing into a log and like some like a horn, like a horn. You know how they did it?
Yeah. They probably invented like the harp before they invented the guitar, just because they didn't figure out how to put a hollow box behind the strings until later. But
and then just keep finding new instruments, making new sounds, like in the most creative ways, like using the strings and different instruments and making the strings long and then tying them to a certain tightness, you know, and then just figuring it out. And just, you know, crazy musicians like Mozart, you know, Beethoven, they implement all the sounds, and they have to write it down for all the different people. Like, it was so hard. Like, that is hard to do. To everyone be on the same page, making the perfect sound we're supposed to make, and like choreograph.
like an orchestra, you mean?
Yeah, just like an orchestra.
And it's crazy because there are a lot of pieces to those.
And now we have an orchestra in our computers, and we can do it ourselves if we want. That's crazy.
You know, all the tools are there. You know, even with like video editing, we're able to do stuff that we weren't able to do before. With, you know, computers are advancing so rapidly, and technology's getting better, and, you know, there's really hardly any restrictions to the user. I mean, besides money and a computer, but like, you know, it's cool this day and age we live in. You know, you're able to do a lot of cool shit with a laptop artistically, and you know.
What do you think the future is going to be like for the music? The synthesizers are just going to be even crazier, making even.
I mean, I think it's gonna go. I mean, it already is what it's gonna be. It's all in the computer now. You have virtual instruments. That's what they call them, is virtual instruments. And it's literally just a synthesizer with all the knobs and stuff that would be on a real life synthesizer on a draggable screen on your computer. I mean, it's cool, the stuff that they have that they make and they literally have one for every single application that you would.
So there's no improvement. It's just gonna be the same because they already know how to get all the different types of.
Well, it's improving. It's improving, and it's, you know, it's downsizing to just on a computer now. You know, it's not analog. You know, you don't need an actual keyboard synthesizer anymore that you plug into an audio interface and then you record into your computer. You have all that shit already draggable inside of your computer. Don't get me wrong. There's still a market for actual analog synthesizers. They make some cool shit, but it's becoming less necessary. It's more kind of like for studios that, you know, want to stunt maybe, or they just have the resources to get and use those things, and they're still great, you know. But
you can do the same on a laptop.
It's just sound, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you do two samples next to each other, you would hardly be able to tell which one came from an actual synthesizer and which one just came from like the one in the computer. You know, it's hardly discernible. You know, the technology's been real good. It's getting better, and they're doing a lot of cool shit now with technology and stuff that they're coming out with, and the future's exciting, man.
You been to Guitar Center lately?
Not lately, but I mean, I've gone in there and jammed out, and just like
Guitar Center is a shit.
It's a cool place to go if you.
They got the ultimate DJ stations. They got all the flashing lights everyone loves.
Guitar Center is fun, man. It's kind of like Toys R Us for like a music producer.
Yeah.
Gearheads in general, because, you know, they got the guitars there too. They got the bongos, the drums.
Yeah, I went in there one time and I bought out. I was like, hey, I'm getting the mic, getting the synthesizer for the mic, blah blah blah. You know, the software you can buy from there.
I need to, you know, so like I don't know how to play like really piano or even guitar, right? So that's why I'm a bit like, not like dying to like put my shit out there, because can't even play fucking piano, man. But
But you don't need to play the piano.
But that's the thing. You don't need to play piano. You just need to have a good ear
Exactly.
and the ability to just kind of lay shit down by ear.
Because you could just play notes and just find that right sound, and like I don't know how to play the piano, but like I was able to figure out the chords just by just knowing what sounds right. I guess like the basic pianos we all sort of know, like putting like a space in between our fingers when we hit the chords, etc.
Yeah. You get like keeping it simple. I can play really simple chords as well, but like
And simple chords work.
They work.
And there's so many different types of sounds for the piano or for the synthesizer. You know, you can come up with a lot of things.
Yeah, it's just that when I play a different chord in my head, it's hard to put it back down on an actual keyboard sometimes.
So, what do you think are some of the most complicated things when you work on your music software? Because for me, the hardest things to do is like to modify the frequency. Say you got an 808 kick, and it's like you have to modify that so it hits harder and it sounds super clear, and it's like, you know, it's a good ass 808 kick, and you gotta like slice it, you know, do a couple things with it. From my experience,
that's like mixing and mastering. So a lot of more established producers will already have like an in-house engineer who will listen to their shit and just dial it in automatically, you know, for them, so they can just focus on making beats and not actually like gluing sounds together. But like, you know, as a producer who just, you know, like you're a bedroom producer, right? You mix and master all your own shit. You definitely need to take a little bit more time to nuance, you know, your ear, get used to hearing, to like, you know, regulating levels so that everything in the mix is in the space and it doesn't mud or overcrowd. Like for example, if you have a kick but you also have a bass line, you got to be careful to align those to two different
making sure they don't hit at the same time.
so they don't hit at the same time, so it muds up the mix, right?
So it's not just like the sound; it's like the kick of it. There's since you got the bass, they both have a.
It's the frequency
Yeah.
that they hit at, right? So you need.
You don't want the frequency to hit at the same time.
Not in the same area. So like, but there's tools to like avoid that, like ducking, you know, side chaining. So that basically what that is that when the kick comes in, the bass line will give out a little bit to let that kick occupy space. But in all the space between that, the bass line has come back up and it's still rumbling. So that's how you're able to get like these really bass heavy mixes, 808 mixes where they have an 808 and the kick underneath, but when the kick hits, it still sounds clean because that 808 bass line is literally ducking under.
But you have to find something for that. It isn't just do it.
I mean, it's just a mixing tool. So if you know how to do it, whatever, you know.
So how would a beginner be able to find that mixing tool?
YouTube, baby.
YouTube.
Man, there's so many tutorials and there's really no excuse to be limited by, you know.
But like when I see people go on YouTube, that's when I find people the least productive because they get so caught up in the videos.
I mean,
they get so caught up in videos they're not doing shit. They're just looking at videos and not working, and then just like get lost into the videos.
With most things in life, dude, like discipline is a very important factor, you know. And when you're on a computer, when you're making art on a computer, you know, especially one with the computer that has access to the internet, you know, you can get a little bit distracted, whether you're surfing or you see like suggestions, right, where it's, you know, like shit that has nothing to do with what you're actually trying to figure out how to do. You know, discipline, man. You know, it's the internet. Get used to seeing shit that it's gonna keep trying to pull you in, and it keeps trying, you know, fucking it's scary, you know, like well, not scary, but like man, you want to get talking about the internet now, that's a whole different thing, you know. But like
see, people can get so caught up in YouTube, but if you're the one putting the music, people can get caught up in your music, no? Damn.
You just blew my mind.
Wisdom.
You just blew my mind.
Wisdom. You just gotta have it out there so people can listen. Like, so I was talking to you earlier, and you said you like the lo-fi beats, right? You like that chill tone.
Yeah.
So what other beats do you like working with that are like similar to lo-fi, or like the
Oh,
ones
man,
that
I
make
like-
make your music your music?
I like kind of like Memphis 3-6 Mafia type beats. Those are pretty cool. Just because I like the whole dirt and grime aspect of it. Also, when you make those types of beats, those beats are almost like inherently stylistically badly mixed. So when I make those types of beats, I don't spend too much time on mixing anyway because it already sounds like normal, I guess. But I mean, I grew up loving house, techno, like trance, kinda, because basically I had two brothers that were much older than me growing up, and one was a hip hop head, the other was like a house head, and they both had their own collections of CDs. So like when I grew up, I didn't have like an N64 PlayStation until much like later, and the only thing I had to really entertain myself was like listening to music, like
Yeah, yeah.
just like really young, and I was going through my brother's CDs and listening to like Ministry of Sound, old school Tupac, Biggie, but also some rock like Bush and like Stone Temple Pilots or whatever. But like music really was in a lot of ways my first hobby. If it was just listening, it wasn't like necessarily making beats, but like just listening to music and stuff like that was like probably my first real thing that I did as a hobby, I guess, as a kid, just because, like I said, I didn't have a gaming console, and I didn't even have a room of my own until like much later. So I was always just like I was just rummaging through my brother's shits, and this was like the '90s, right? So like everyone had like CDs, their own
Yeah, the
collections,
mixtapes.
and the cases.
You had the CDs where you put the disc in, like you closed it like that.
Yeah, with the little booklet, the Walkman. Oh hell yeah, dude! I like never went to school without my Walkman. I always had like my CDs on me. Shit, man, yeah. And then,
I remember like everyone would have those things in the car, like a CD holder. And, like you would have to like pull it out and you pop out like you have like 50 CDs and
the
you're like,
6 CD changer.
what CD do I want to listen to today? Like,
Oh yeah.
like Jesus.
They'd
Like,
have
it
a
was so
collection
hard.
looking like a bunch of Pokemon cards.
It was hard work to find your music. Like, fuck, where's my disc? And it's like behind the disc. Like, you
Yeah.
accidentally slipped it under your, like, one of the disc layers. Like, it was like hidden. So you like flipping out because you couldn't find your disc.
Now I find myself kind of like paralyzed by the choice paradox, where it's like I have so many choices. It's just easier to not listen to music, and I just turn on talk radio instead. I don't even always listen to music now because I'm just overwhelmed by the choices, even by my own Spotify. I'm like, man, dude, I'm tired of like my daily mix or whatever the fuck it may be, and I just be like, fuck it, I'm just tune off from music for a little bit. Sometimes you just need to turn off all the music and just listen and then smell the roses.
You know what's crazy? I stopped listening to other people's music almost completely once I started making my own music, or like attempting on beats. Because once I got down to like making my own beats and seeing what I could make, I kind of just felt like every other music was clouding my judgment on my music. It was
Exactly, yeah.
and like it was just like once I shut it out, I was making my own tone. I start to not. I like to not like the lyrics anymore. I start to like just the music.
Yeah, just instrumental.
So whenever I'm just working on beats, I'm only listening to the music. Whenever you listen to like a song, there's someone talking in it, and it's not just the music. And it might not. It's obviously better with the vocals in it. Makes it what it is. It tells the story, paints the picture. But I don't know. Like lately, I've just been like only listening to beats. Like if I like want to like listen to music, I like to look up a lo-fi beat or an instrumental beat, and like I like the flow. You like the flow?
I love the flow.
Exactly. You put on an instrumental, man, just start flowing. Like you don't like no other words, just your own. Like once I started doing that, like I just find myself like not using my Spotify.
Yeah.
So I canceled that membership. I don't barely go on YouTube. I don't know who's playing like coming out with new stuff anymore. I don't really care anymore.
It's good to disconnect every once in a while, refresh your perspective, and come back and then just kind of rediscover what you like. Especially if you're trying to develop your own style. It's natural to just kind of put everything else on hold, but it's still important to, listen to music and stuff like that. But just how do you separate that from like judgment from your own music, right? Like, oh, okay, like how do I need to make my music sound similar, or Should I just kind of go in my own little cocoon and just try to figure out my own shit, my own way? You know,
I mean,
it's hard not to be
you
inspired.
can do it in all the possibilities of way. Well, the only thing that makes that you perceive if it's right is by other people's judgments. But your music shouldn't be based on other people's judgments; it's just your own. And if people like it, they like it. If people don't, they don't. But you should never change your tone of voice, right? Voice into the music you make, just as simply.
We're humans, man. You know, we do stuff with an audience in mind because, you know, we're a little vain or whatever. We want people to hear it, and we want it. You know, we want it to be like good or impressive. You know.
Yeah.
And you really gotta kind of lose yourself and just say, I don't give a fuck what anyone thinks. I'm gonna make what really I want to listen to, and stylistically it works out. Sometimes it's like, you know, it just really kind of depends. You know, like if you can develop your own style, but not just not just your own style, bless you, but like something that like people can actually rock to. Because sometimes people's own style doesn't really necessarily translate to good music, but it translates to good art or good cooking when it comes to their own style. Like maybe like, you know, my inherent own style and something is not as good as maybe my own style in like another discipline. If that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. But like in music theory, you know, you follow the code, like the fours by fours by fours by fours, and you make your 64, your 32, however long you want to make the song, or 128, you know, for an extra long song. When you like look at it from the making perspective, and you know, music theory is based on those fractions of how the music is made, and generally, you know. And we always follow those steps, and when we don't follow the steps, it doesn't sound right to our ears, because that's what we were used to. We're so used to the regularity of how music is, and it's how it has that catchy tone to it all the time. It's not just like, I mean, I guess that what makes music is the patterns, is the rhythm, but like, I don't know, you can get a unique taste out of just throwing stuff out there, saying you're not going by fours, you go by threes, and it's like that you can tell it sounds different, but like you use pauses or you use different elements on how to like produce the music to get like different sounds or your own beat. So it's like you used to have that vibe where you like a lot of music and it's just like a pause, and then you're back to it and it's just like a pause. I don't know, it's just an example. Like there's so many different ways, obviously, millions of ways to make music in different styles, and it's just like how many people are thinking outside the box and trying making the new style or to change the game completely. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's all part of just keeping it moving. You know, sometimes when I make beats, I find that like my process gets a little formulaic. Like it gets kind of like it follows like the same pattern, has the same elements all the time, and like you can tell whenever you hear like the different types of beats, like, oh, I'm making it like the same way. They sound similar in a way, or they arrange similarly. You know, so that's good. Like especially if you move from project to project, in between projects, to kind of review your last one and kind of see like, okay, what did I do last time? What worked? What didn't? What can I add? What can I subtract? You know, and so that way it's not like so like monotonous. Like it's not like, and by keep it moving, it's just saying just keep evolving, keep changing, keep adding stuff, and you know, take only what is necessary, take away what's unnecessary, you know, and you know, keeping the process true but also like efficient. How to make, you know, the most art, or how to be the most expressive, with like by either taking the least effort or the least time, you know, because you know when you get lost, when you take too much time to do stuff, you know, you're more prone to the rabbit hole, or you know, like we talked about, you know, I mentioned briefly like discipline, you know, like sometimes we take too much time just because we get distracted and we're not using all of our time really effectively.
yeah.
You know, so
Sometimes it's hard to put a lot of hours in music.
well, yeah, you know,
It can be, from my experience. It's kind of hard to work on music.
Because you need to stay like inspired, you know, and it's hard to make art when you're not inspired, because you're forcing it at that point.
What would you say is the best way to get inspiration?
I mean, I wouldn't have ever been inspired to make music if I wasn't listening to music. So just keep listening to shit, but seek out stuff that you like. Don't just like settle for what's on the radio. Maybe just take like an hour, or like take a moment just to dig for music. I have my preference or music taste because I dug for it. Like I looked for it. I didn't just like, you know. I hate, I don't want to sound like a music snob, but none of the music that I really like is playing on the radio.
Yeah.
That's just how it is.
I agree with you as well. I don't like the music they play.
So I have to dig. Naturally, I have to go on the internet, and find little nooks and alleys of the internet where they're playing shit that I actually like, that I want to hear. And there's always shit that you like on the internet. You just gotta find it. So I hate it when people complain like there's no good music. I was like, well, that's not true. There's good music. You just gotta kind of look for it.
If you could show your music to one person, who would it be?
Oh man. I mean, like, trying to collab with another music person, or like
just if you could show one person your music, who would it be?
You think Trump would like my beats?
I mean, maybe. I don't know if he listens to music.
Oh man. I don't know, man. Hopefully.
You want to show Trump? I'll tag him. I'll tag Donald J. Trump.
Oh man. So like, I guess it would have to be a producer. Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre.
Show the beats to Dre.
Manny Fresh. Man, I want to see if Devin a Dude would want to put a track out. He's one of my favorite rappers. I know Ron was shout out Devin a Dude last time he was, but he's man, Devin a Dude. Yeah, man. I don't know. Whatever. Whoever appreciates it, really. I try to not be like, unless like I get a feeling for someone and they seem like they might like hip hop, I might let them know about my beats. But
if you were in another country, what do you think those people would think of your beats? So like, if we're in Asia, no, not Asia, no, that's
so
yeah, Asia. What do you think they would say?
I mean, some people might think it's tight. I think because like SoundCloud will actually tell you where your music is being played from. So
way. It'll be like in China.
It'll be out. So like I get plays from like random countries. Like I was getting plays from Hong Kong.
That's crazy.
Bulgaria. Like places in Europe, Spain, whatever. Like just people from all over.
They see your beats?
Where they somehow find my beats or whatever on SoundCloud. I don't really understand the algorithm. I don't tag my beats on SoundCloud, so
that's crazy.
So but I've had some people that appreciated my music and reposted it, and those people have followings, and so that made it easier for my stuff to get exposed a little bit. And so sometimes that helps, if you're up and coming, and maybe your shit's good, but like, you're not really doing a lot to put it out. First of all, that's the thing, like an artist, if you really give a shit about gaining following and clout, yeah, you need to like tag it or whatever, I guess. But if you have like, people that actually appreciate your shit, that are in a position to kind of put you on to more people, that always helps, to get a shout out. And so, like I was corresponding with this dude on SoundCloud who had like, a big following, he had a lot of plays and stuff like that, and he gave me props and he shouted me out and he reposted my shit, and it didn't like fucking get like famous overnight, but like I got like kind of like my own little like, I guess not like following, but like I have like listeners, plays or whatever coming from like consistently like Bulgaria, Hong Kong. I don't know, just those two places. I guess I just shout out to those two guys or whatever. Bulgaria, Hong Kong. If y'all see this interview, man, thanks for the support, man. I see y'all. But like it's cool. It's random. There's people from all over places that I would have never imagined any of my beats ever being played.
Yeah.
So and that's the beauty of the internet, man. Is that
what would you tell to the young music makers out there? like just starting or like, having problems making their art? Or
Shit.
any good advice to give to the people?
Just create your own style. Don't try to conform to another pre-existing formula or style or whatever. You know, you're only good at what like you can really do or whatever. You know, so you know, stick to your own style and like love music. Like, don't just do it to make friends or whatever. You know, you gotta actually like love to just make music and rock to your own shit. You know, don't be afraid to rock to your own shit. You know, like do what makes your head nod. You know, don't be like too ashamed to like.
Yeah, just play your music out there. And then
Yeah. You know, I would say like put your shit out, but I don't really do a lot of like self promotion. I don't really take myself too terribly seriously as like a beat maker, but you know, if you're gonna like do it, like if you want to make music like you're living, then yeah, you know, you gotta promote, you know, nonstop, you know, because people need to hear your shit.
So, have you ever won a girl over by using your music?
Huh?
You ever won a girl over using your music? You just play your music and you're
Oh,
like, she's like, what is that?
I think
my beat, baby.
I think not exclusively, but it always helps when I think girls in general just like it when guys have a talent or are
determined
good at
about
something.
something.
Determined in something, you know, passionate about something, you know. So it never has hurt me. It's never been like, oh, this fucking dork makes beats, right? Like, it's always been like, oh, okay, well, you know, like.
So you don't have a special playlist? You don't. When the candles are lit, you don't
So
have.
you know, I do have a special. I got like a little series of behind closed doors type beats.
he's got the bed squeak as part of the beat.
What it is, girl? What's the shit, man? Yeah, man. I mean,
I've done that before. And it wasn't my own beat, you know, but like I've definitely tried playing some of that love music. You know what I'm saying? Set the mood. I always thought that was funny, like playing a certain like say how you go to the gym and you play like rock music. You know, you play that certain music for a certain reason,
yeah.
and you all got these different types of music, and you can play them. Like if I'm playing a game of chess, I'm gonna want to listen to some classical music. I like to play chess, by the way.
Yeah. I guess like when it comes to like the mood that I'm really trying to capture, when I make beats is cruising on the highway. I like to really just kind of zone out when I drive.
You want another water?
Yes, please.
Just keep going. I can hear you.
I like to. You're not just gonna edit this out?
No, keep talking. Go ahead. When you're driving?
Yeah, man. When I'm driving, cruising, I can zone out. I can avoid getting like road rage or whatever it may be, the boredom or monotony of just driving in a car for minutes, hours at a time, you know, because we do a lot of driving, a lot of transporting here in Houston. You know, I think inherently just by itself, Houston is just like a cruise and ride city.
Yeah, you gotta drive everywhere.
Gotta drive everywhere, and you gotta have the slab bumping or whatever it may be. You gotta have your beats banging. So that's usually just chill out cruise type music. Just kind of like almost contemplate.
A cruise isn't a cruise without some music, right?
Nah, I mean, you can't just be cruising to like talk radio. I mean, that's not cruising. That's just driving.
You know what I would hate? I would hate when I would wake up in the morning and I'd be on the way to school, and my parents be listening to the radio and be like on one of those talk show, uninformational, the most ratchet entertainment station. That's just, and if you're lucky to hear a good song, it's not the song you want to listen to.
Oh man, that's funny that you mentioned that, because I remember the first time I heard Lil Kiki Southside was in the back of my mom's Lincoln Town car on the way to elementary school. That's kind of a trip, but but yeah, I mean,
Kiki.
Shit, yeah, man. You gotta have the beat to be banging when you're cruising or whatever it may be. I remember like when I got my first truck, dude. Like the first thing I did was put speakers in it with an amp and
Hell yeah.
all that shit. Got the box loaded and.
I did the same thing. Right when I got the car, I was like,
That's H Town though, right? Like you got it inherently,
the old people still don't understand.
the home of the slab.
And then like 50 years from now, it's gonna be weird if cars aren't sold with subs. If you're in Houston, every car comes with a pair of subs.
A lot of cars do come sold already with like upgraded sound systems.
They have Bose, but it'll never compare to having like a pair of bass kickers or just the basic stuff. It just doesn't compare.
Yeah.
It sounds so much better when you listen to your motivational music, your pump up music, even your chill music. Like, bro, the chillest moment is whenever you listen to that chill music and say you're like smoking, just relaxing or having a drink, and that bass is like kicking and just hitting you, that frequency's hitting you at like the right frequency, and you're just like
Feel like you're floating.
Yeah, you're literally just like you're in like a back vibrating machine chair.
I like bass.
Those are the best moments.
Hell yeah, man. So I mean, especially just cruising through these city streets of H Town.
H Town, what it do, baby?
It always sets the scene. It always sets the mood. Always gotta be jamming something, man.
Shit, when I'm in my truck, I don't have a radio to put my phone in, so I literally don't put anything on. They took the classical station out of the frequencies here in Houston.
Oh man.
They had a classical station, they took it out. Wow. And they put an extra hip hop station in, playing the songs that the other station isn't playing at the exact same time. They hoed.
I hope they bring it back, dude, because classical music fits every mood. Almost every mood. I feel like, you can have dramatic, you can have peaceful, you can even have chaotic music, or chaotic scenes played out to classical music. It goes hand in hand with a lot of stuff. I don't listen to classical music really on my own time, but anytime I do hear it, I'm never bothered or like, it's always like, this is nice. It just massages the brain.
It's nice. Very nice.
It just hits that frequency, that tone, because a lot of music that we listen to now is percussive heavy, bass heavy. There's loud snares, rumbling bass. The melody is just really in the background of a lot of music, and at the forefront is just the beat.
Yeah.
And it's the opposite.
That's the new classical.
It's the opposite with classical, because classical it's nice, it's slow, it's more about the melody. There's no percussion, there's no beat to it. It's just like a flow.
So what would you say is the most beautiful thing about music and the art of it?
It's evoking. It brings out emotions from you. It'll make you hype. It'll make you sad. It'll make you
tingly.
It makes you feel all kinds of ways.
Have you ever felt like this euphoric feeling from like a certain song or a certain verse or a certain beat?
Yeah.
I've only had it like a couple times, but like every time I've had them, just like, whoa, that's a good beat. Or like
it's like a high, man. It's certainly like a euphoria. It's that moment of clarity where you're like, man, this is perfect, And some of those moments have been while I was listening to music. When it sets that mood that you feel like only you're really in your element and your zone at the time, and it's just like everything is how it should be right now. And that sometimes it's like that when I'm listening to music, whether like I have my headphones on and I'm trying to relax and trying to chill, and everybody in front of me is in a rat race, and they're rushing, and it's just like chaos. It's like that's when I'm like, okay, like I'm able to preserve my own energy and not get affected by what's outside of me. You know, that's why I can't go to the gym without headphones now. Like I used to work out without headphones, and I used to get like distracted easily, or like the clanging of the sounds, and it would just be like, it's just the time would go by much slower in the gym. Ever since I started putting on headphones, I can just tune shit out.
You kind of like just hit it harder too.
You just hit it harder. You're in your own shit. You don't even care like if you're making like the
crunching sounds
with your faces. Like I'm always like I'm the type of guy where like I don't really know how to breathe when I work out sometimes, or like I forget how to breathe. I'm like I'm about to pop a vessel.
So you're just like like that.
But I feel like when you listen to music, have headphones, whatever, you can sync your breathing a little bit easier. I don't know what it is, you know, but everything kind of falls into place, you know, when I'm listening to music, and then I can tune out and then not be affected by the external, and then you know, I don't know, man, because listening to music is a very personal kind of, you know. Apart from like being at the club, I think of music as a very personal experience. I don't think of music as something that I listen to with other people. I think of music as more something that's a more personal kind of.
You ever have like someone come up to you and be like, "Oh, you don't listen to them"? Yeah, like they're just like, "Oh, you don't listen to them."
Oh man,
you don't like them?
Like music snobs?
You don't like them, huh? You want to fight them? Like it's just like you don't rock what they rock with, and then like they just get offended or something.
Yeah.
Like, you say you don't like them, and they're just like, "What? No."
Haven't had that happen to me.
No, never. It's happened to me so many freaking times. Like with dudes, girls, etc. Like people like are judgmental. Like
yeah.
I've been around judgmental people just because I like something. They're like, "Oh, really?" Like it's mainly with people when country people take a lot of offense when I say I don't like country music. I like certain songs in country music, but that has to be like my least favorite thing. Like honestly, it's very nice. They have great songs, but they got like offended.
Yeah.
You're like, you're a Texan. You don't Texas. You don't like country music. No, I mean it's not my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, country's not my favorite either, but you know, it does have its own uses. It's good to chill to, good to drink to, good to unwind to. Just like a lot of other types of music are, but it does have its own vibe. But like I totally get that when people like they want you to like what they like. And when you don't like what they like, they get like insecure or whatever, how it is that they feel. And it's just how it is though. Like I'd rather you just gotta let people know like, hey, I'm sorry, don't rock with this, you know. Otherwise, shit, you know. It really don't bother me though, you know. Everyone has their own taste. Different music moves different people, and
So what do you think is the hardest thing about making music?
just getting started.
Just getting started.
As with a lot of things.
But what if you say you get started and like you just been working on the same samples and you like kind of like lose track?
Oh man.
Just more inspiration.
Just keep it moving. I know I've said that before, but just try to keep moving if you can. Move on to a different beat or song or another aspect of music that you want to improve on, whether it's just learning, you know, how to read music, just playing chords or whatever. You know, it's just stay involved with music. If say like you're frustrated in beat making, take a piano class. Step away from actual conceptual music and just try to learn something about how to create something different apart from your usual process. But we can't just like lock ourselves in a room and just try to like beat it out of ourselves. You literally got to step back, renew your perspective, go to some shows, find new artists, check out the scene close to you. One thing that I like to do is just talk to different artists and see what they're doing. What are you doing? Like I'm not trying to like jack your process, but I just want to see like what works for different people. Yeah. And that's always good, and that's why we watch YouTube videos.
There's a lot of like stingy people about their music too. Like, you say the same thing I said. There's only so many words in the dictionary that are like presentable into a song. Like, let's get real. Like how are you not gonna say the same thing every now and then? Like, right?
There's a lot of artists that are really protective about their process. Because they feel like the way that they do it is so special or whatever. I really appreciate artists that take the time to talk about their process, get into it, put up like whether it might be YouTube videos or interviews, actually, tell people about what inspires them, what their process entails, how they do it, and oftentimes it's a lot more simpler than what we think. We think that there's like this magic formula, but really it just gets down to working and actually loving it, because when you love it, when you have fun, it doesn't really seem like work. You can get more done. It's more organic of a flow. It comes, more from like within than from what like you think what like.
So fall in love with your craft. Make love with your craft. Tease the craft. Don't spoil the craft. Not yet. Tease. Give it a little wine and dine with the craft.
Yeah, you just keep pursuing it, but you don't have to go like full on.
Be loyal to the craft. Don't cheat on the craft.
You don't want to be like too desperate for the craft.
Yeah, don't be too desperate. Don't get lost in the craft either.
Play
don't
a little
get
hard
lost
to get.
in it.
But definitely,
Don't get depressed over the craft. Don't get sad. Stay in a positive outlet, positive mindset.
Don't dwell on little things, within the craft. Just keep it moving, and grooving.
Yeah, man. A couple prayers. I could always give you a little spiritual energy. If you're that type of person, have hope, believe to achieve, and sometimes it's hard to paint the picture you see. But once you start putting like when you start a puzzle and you do the boundaries, everything kind of becomes easier. When you start from the outside and you work yourself in, do the same thing with whatever your craft is with the music. Just work on the easy stuff, work on the boundaries. Know where you can, start with quick, efficiently, and then work your way into the heart of the music. Don't stab the music in the heart. No. Never ends with anything good.
Oh man, it's all fun. The main reason why I like to get involved with music is because the social aspect is fun too. I like to chill. I like to make beats for the homies, and we used to like flow and relax to them. I was really like the main motivation. Now I kind of stay into it because like, hey, I enjoy it. Sometimes I make shit that I like that, or whatever. But man, the main reason was for kicking flows with the homies, for putting out some shit that was like original or that was our own, instead of just like finding instrumentals on YouTube.
Yeah.
Even though like the instrumentals on YouTube are always most of the time going to be better than your own beats, especially when you're just starting out. But it's always funner. There's extra motivation for people to kind of gather around.
Yes, bro. Flowing on your own beats.
Flow
on your own beats, man. Make it work. Make it happen. Speak to it.
It's
So I'm
really
saying, make love to your music. You gotta talk to the music. You don't go straight into the sack.
Oh yeah.
Flow with it.
That wine and
let the music you make spit the words that's coming from it. It's a complicated concept, but it happens. When you make your own beat, you're gonna have different words for every beat you make. It's a different story, and you have different inspiration for every beat. So every different inspiration was a different picture, and a picture is worth 1,000 words, and that goes a long way.
So it's gonna have a.
So if a picture is 1,000 words, what is music? 10,000 words?
Oh, it's infinite. I don't know. It's
Cause you can say a lot in a song. A lot of words. Definitely more than 1,000. If you have a catchy chorus, you can just play it over and over again.
Oh, man.
You know what they say, like baby is like one of the most catchiest things that's like overplayed, and always avoid baby in your song. So I saw in the little booklet. There's like a lot of things like are so super common, like you're supposed to avoid so it doesn't make your song like.
I didn't know that. I have to look that up. I have to,
Well, I mean, they have like words that are common in most songs, and they like calculate it. They just from the overall, they just find like these words that are like overplayed, and like to what they were saying was whenever you say you do a verse to your music, avoid these typical things that everyone says if you want to have those unique.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's just you saying whatever you want to say, I mean, you can say it. But like, there's a lot of things when you want to be different. There's a lot of things that are similar that you want to try to avoid. You can avoid the things that you don't want to be similar if you want to be more independent. Like I saw in the book that they were like describing some words that were like that, like baby. Like, you know, everyone wants to say baby in their songs. So like, it's an overplayed word, and like when people hear something that's so overplayed, they don't want to hear it. They're like, oh, all right, another baby song. Like shit, let's turn this off. And instead of you say some words that no one's ever heard, you just look in the dictionary. You're gonna be like, you know, who knows what you say? You can look in the sections, and you can find some crazy stuff. So, I mean, you just gotta know trends, but break the trends. Make your own trend.
Oh yeah.
Just because you know people's styles doesn't mean you have to mimic them. But it's good to know what's there. It's good to acquire all the knowledge as possible. Doesn't mean it's like taking someone's opinion. You could take their opinion, but don't trust it. Just know that it was there, that someone had said something about it. So when you prepare yourself for a music or whatever is in front of you, you can know. But if you believe in whatever you see, you know, you're just doing whatever someone else says or whatever you hear. But if you're doing that with music, you know, just as long as you know, you can put your own, you pave your own path.
You gotta have vision.
You gotta have vision. Hell yeah. Give the highs to lows and lows to highs.
You gotta be able to see where you're going.
You gotta know all angles, man. How you feeling, man? How you feeling?
Yeah, that coffee got me toasty right now.
You want some more?
No, I'm good. I try to, because then I'll get like the super anxieties and shit like that. I
You
can't.
from coffee? Sometimes I get too hype, or I feel like I'm hype. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, dude, I'll crash if I drink too much, especially if I haven't had like a proper breakfast. So like, yeah, I probably chill out my coffee. Just keep running on water right now.
Don't drink too much of the Howdy. You'll get lost in it.
Solid cup though.
Solid. Yeah, I was using the cup on the top of my thing. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, then she uses a little cup.
That's really handy.
Yeah.
Handy dandy.
Yeah, it's handy dandy for sure. Holy fuck.
Oh, man.
So what music did you jam out to when you came here?
Man, I ain't even listen to music.
You went silent.
Yeah.
Do you have like a certain alarm clock or anything that's like a certain beat?
So like for short drives, I don't actually put on music typically because it's just like it's a short drive, right? I'm not gonna sit there and scroll through Spotify. You know, I'll just throw on the radio or just like talk show or whatever, or talk radio. But like, yeah, if I do have a long drive, then yeah, I'll put on some. I got like a little playlist or whatever on my own. But typically, like house music sounds really good on the highway. You know. Like
yeah, just don't be pumping on the
I'm
gas pedal.
Not pumping on the gas, dude. I'm just
or the brakes, pumping the air.
Or like when I'm cruising through town, not on the highway, but like through the city streets, you know, I'll be bumping some.
What would you say is generally the best place to get the most inspiration, or the best way to acquire the energy for that inspiration? How can people find that alignment?
Traveling. Just getting away from home and just checking out like a whole nother way of life or way of living, or just changing scenery, you know. I always get like inspiration just from like leaving home for a little bit and just traveling, man. Whether I'm seeing family or visiting friends. It's always good to just get away, and I come back and my whole perspective is kind of like renewed a little bit. Just gives me like, that's the best way, man, honestly. Just traveling a little bit. But if that's not an option, man, just adventure, whatever it may be.
Just Google Maps. Just pretend that you're there.
Yeah, just go down the street view and just post up.
Just slowly move the cursor on the street like you're walking.
Art shows, going out with like friends, spending time with friends, whatever it may be. Hopefully.
Are there music shows?
There's music shows. I mean, there's always.
I mean, not like performances, but like an art gallery. Do they have stuff like that for music? Like,
yeah, they have like beat makers, like sessions or whatever. And usually it's just like.
You just kind of like show someone.
Just dudes with their computers and samplers that show up.
Have you ever been to one?
Nah, but I mean, I've seen like videos and little. I kind of have an idea of how the beat scene works. I'd like to go to one. I like to network. Just meet other artists, dude. Because that's one thing as an artist, or like as a person who likes to make art.
Isn't it crazy? We can just hear like all these different types of frequencies. Like our ears are just like crazy. Like we can just tell the distinctive difference between all these different things, and
Yeah.
it's like we use our brain to like code out all the sounds, and when we hear a song, we can distinctively distinguish every sound on its own. You know, when you're in public and you're talking, you could hear everybody, but you can focus on anyone you want. You can just focus on them, and nothing else is distracting you. And once you focus on someone else, it's only them.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's never too much, because our ears and our brain just work that good. It's just like bam, bam.
That is.
It's like eavesdropping. You just don't want to eavesdrop on one person. You just focus on them. You know, you just open up your ears a little bit. You just go like this, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Nah. I mean, it is cool. You know, ever since apes learned to eat mushrooms and to expand their brain. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you think people like get fat ears and they just can't listen to anything? They're just like
fat ears.
What I'm trying to say is they have like no sense of. They don't tell the difference if something is good or not. They're just like potato ears.
Yeah, especially like in this generation, we all grew up like blasting the music really loud, especially with headphones, headsets, or like car systems, etc. Going to clubs. Majority of people have dull hearing, just in general, because we love like cranking it up. We love loud music.
Do you think that's going to cause a problem in the future, or will that only? Do you think that will only improve our ears in the future? Since we're getting so used to all these different sounds, it's like, wouldn't it make our ears better? Since we have all these extra things.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't really know how like the eardrum works. It just seems like.
But you could just think of an evolution and adaptation, and just like. Generally, over the years, we get better at sports. We get better with music. Anything. We just generally get better. Like I promise you, our sense of taste got better after we stopped eating all the junk as cavemen. Having to eat raw meat or something. Like our taste buds definitely changed over the years when we started cooking and actually distinguishing different tastes and having like our tongues. Like we can distinguish all these different flavors and tastes. And would it have been the same if it was like 2,000 years back, or like even farther? Like they heard something and they'd just be like, "What the fuck is that?"
We might.
It'd just be like a jungle. Yeah. It's like a baby who sees for the first time. They don't even see straight. Everything is going everywhere.
Or it's like I saw this video where they put a hearing aid on the baby for the first time. The baby was able to hear for the first time, and that might be very well true for like us as adults. Like our hearing may dull to the point to where like by the time we're like 50, 60, we'll be wearing hearing aids too.
Well, every pair of headphones also a hearing aid. Genius idea.
Oh shit.
Hearing aid,
amplified.
Headphones. Oh my fucking god, that's $1 million idea. Holy shit.
The future is bright, my friends.
Fucking bright as fuck. We will have permanent things in our ears. We won't even use our ears anymore. You use your ears, weirdo. That's what it's gonna come to.
Shining bright.
Just like with shit, it could come with a lot of other things, man. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about music, or anything you wanted to share? Any shout outs? Anything about what you're up to?
No.
Alright, man. Hey, bro, I appreciate you coming here with the music. I never really got the chance to get into depth about music. I know you just like. It's something we have in common. It's something we could talk about, and it's nice that I got to talk to you for an hour and a half and like just get into details about some of our interests and just chit chat. We never really got the chance to do that. It's really cool making the video.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we can always look back on this one day and just laugh our ass off.
Tight, and then yeah, man. Probably not upload this video because this is terrible.
It's uploaded. It's coming out.
But yeah, man. Thanks for having me. Music is always fun. It's good to listen to.
Yeah, man. I wanted you to come so we could talk. I could have someone to talk about this with, because it's an interesting subject to me. Because music has been a pretty, not the biggest factor in my life, but it's been a factor.
It's an escape.
Yeah.
And so you
When I
always
find
need that.
something common with you, you know, we were mutual friends at most, and I think that's pretty cool. You know, sharing the wisdom, sharing the knowledge.
Alright, and well, yeah, I'm willing to come on and talk about other stuff whenever you get a little bit more.
Who wants to talk about the ladies?
Hello.
Alright, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna put the link. Anything he wants to put, I'm gonna put the link. His music, his Instagram, maybe his phone number if he wants. I don't know. Probably not. But like and subscribe. Like the video. And until next time, guys. Howdy.